Good morning, gang. Happy Friday morning. All right, I want to discuss a topic this morning that's purely prepping, okay? Not economics, not current events, not politics, not nothing. Prepping. I'm going to give you a story. This goes back to my Army days, stationed down at Fort Bliss, Texas, El Paso, okay? We were, let's see, this was, when was I there? 85 to 87. No, 87, 89. So I was 21, 22 years old. And like anybody else in their 20s, on the weekends, you'd all go out partying. And the fun part was, back then, okay, we'd all go down to Juarez, Mexico. You don't go anymore because it's been the murder capital of the world for years now. But back then it was fun. It was nightclubs and cheap drinks and cheap food and stuff like that. Stuff that you could afford on a Army enlisted guy's budget when you're 21 years old. So we'd go down, we'd park our car on the U.S. side and walk across the bridge and go into town and go to the clubs. Okay? And you could tell there were a lot of military people there because our haircuts were made it pretty obvious. But there was one time that me and a buddy, Tony, were coming back. Okay, we'd been dancing, had a few beers, stuff like that. We were walking back across the bridge. And 3 Mexican nationals got up in front of us. We're on the bridge, okay? And starts giving us shit. And then starts waving a knife in our face. Now, if you've ever seen the scar I have on my face here, and where you can really see it is the nick in my nose, that's where that was from. I got lucky he missed my eye, and fortunately I was young and the scar healed up pretty well and you can hardly see it. But he pulled that knife out and slashed me on the face. I don't remember where he got Tony, but he got Tony somewhere. I still talk to Tony. I could ask him, I guess. And took off running back toward Mexico. Tony could run like the wind. And Tony tracked him down and tackled him. And the two of us proceeded to beat the shit out of him and leave him there a bloody mess. The other guys, of course, scattered. So Tony and I start walking back down the bridge. Well, it turned out that in the process of him running, somewhere in here, either before he got to us or after, we're assuming it was after because of where his proximity was, he stabbed a girl in the belly. Okay. Maybe she was in the way or whatever, but the bridge is obviously got people on it. And Tony and I stopped and saw her there. Being in the military, and God knows the one thing that the Army trained us in was first aid. And Tony and I almost naturally hopped into action. We knew how to treat a stab wound. We knew how to treat for shock. The ambulance wasn't there. We got her stabilized before the ambulance showed up. The paramedics came in, said, "Thank you guys very much. I got blood running down my face." I think Tony got it in the forehead, if I remember correctly. But they're like, "Do you guys need medical attention?" And we're like, "No, that's okay. We'll head back into town." And the two of us went up to the Army hospital and got checked out. And they're like, "Okay, here's a bandage," and stuff like that. Obviously, it wasn't a bad wound that either one of us had. But it brings up something that I bet most of you don't do enough. We buy all this stuff. We have gear coming out of our ears, right? You've got guns and ammo and plate carriers and medical supplies and God knows what. How much do you train with it? Now with the guns and the ammo, chances are you go out to the range occasionally, maybe more often, and you train with outgoing defense. But how often do you train on incoming? When's the last time you trained on how to put on a pressure dressing, a field dressing of any sort? When's the last time you practiced with the tourniquet? When's the last time you practiced making a sling? When's the last time that you practiced making splints? People are going to break arms, break legs, get a stab wound, God help, get a bullet wound. When's the last time you trained on stuff like that? I'll bet it's been a long time. When's the last time you practiced your evacuation plan? Okay? Whether it's the Chinese coming over the hill, or whether it's your house on fire, who knows what the reason is. When's the last time you practiced that and everybody in your house, let alone your mag, knows what to do? Your house. When's the last time you all practiced and said, okay, fire, 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 get out? Going down a ladder out the bedroom window. Or even as minimal as where your meeting place is. How about your mag? Let's say you've got you and 4 or 5 neighbors. When's the last time you practiced that? My house is on fire. What is everybody else going to do? Hopefully it's not stand there with their camera taking videos of it. Hopefully they are preparing, training to do it. Do you know how to do a fireman's carry? You know, carrying a guy like me, 275 pounds, that ain't easy, especially if you're a 120-pound woman, okay? How are you going to get me out? It can't be, honey, come home from work. Pinball's house is on fire and he's inside. Great, I'll be there in a half an hour. How are you going to do that? Making a stretcher from, if you have a stretcher, great, okay? Do you know how to make one? When's the last time you did that? Can you make one out of, a couple of tree branches and a couple of pairs of jeans maybe? Okay, strong enough fabric to hold. When's the last time you did a land nav course? Land navigation. Okay? Give you this as practice with a compass. You're going to get lost. GPS ain't going to work in an SHTF situation, guys. How many times have you been somewhere? There's still a lot of places. Go into, perfect example, the cars, the GPS in your car won't find my house. Okay. Google Maps will, but the GPS in car takes you to the other side of town. How many times you run into that? Now you're out in the woods somewhere. GPS ain't going to work. Turn left at the next oak tree is not exactly going to work. Have you practiced land navigation? Here's an idea. Take people out in your mag, go out to the woods somewhere, and drop them off, and this is kind of how they train land nav, they use a lot greater distance, but go out to, the forest somewhere, state park, wherever, and have one person set this whole thing up. Okay, we're going to walk you all out to this spot, and this is where you need to get. And it's a convenience store, or make it a bar or something like this, so they celebrate it when you're done. Everybody can have a beer together. And you go out there with a canteen and a compass, and that's it. And you've got to find your way back. And it's not like, we just walk right back to where we came. No. Make it the other way. Areas that people have never done. You got to do a little pre-planning to do this. Obviously, give everybody a radio in case somebody gets lost, and don't make it you got to walk 20 miles. Make it they got to walk a mile, okay? And it'll take an hour or so. Do it on a Saturday afternoon. When's the last time you trained on something like that, if ever? Because in an SHTF situation, martial law, the roads aren't going to be a viable option to get from point A to point B. At least the main ones. Maybe the back roads might be. But those are going to be filled with other people that are freaking out. And you're walking into territory where they don't know you. And in an SHTF situation, I'm giving you this, all of a sudden now you're captured. You're an unknown entity. Who are you? Are you coming to take our food? Are you coming to kill our kids? That's the mentality that somebody will have. Do you know how to walk around through the woods to get where you need to get? I mean, can you even read a compass? Don't give me any of this, I'm going to go by which way the sun is coming up and, the moss growing on a tree. Yeah, okay, compass. It's not exactly a new invention. Do you even have one? Okay, and not one of those little bubble compasses that, this will help me. No, I mean a real compass that's quality. Those are things. I mean, we practice our canning all the time, right? Because you do it over and over. When's the last time you went out and started a fire and cooked over it? Because when the electricity's out, when you're out of gas, you're going to have to cook over firewood. Okay? Tried to do that lately? Might be an idea. Do you even have a setup to do it? Right. I mean, great. You could build one, no problem. I mean, those old metal milk boxes, not the plastic ones, obviously they'll melt, but the old metal ones, that might even work. Okay, you could do something like that. Or you can get yourself a setup like I've got. You could use the grills out of the grates out of your barbecue to set up, because you're going to run out of charcoal and propane too. I'm just telling you. All right. But when's the last time you trained on all of this stuff? The weather's getting warmer. Okay. It's not like you got to, we need to go do a land nav course and there's 3 feet of snow in the woods. I understand there's probably still places there are. Okay. But, okay, train on your medical preparedness. Train on your evacuation preparedness. Train on your fire building skills, your cooking skills, your rifle skills, your land nav skills as the weather gets nicer. Go somewhere you don't know, like I said. But this is the thing. Preppers are great at buying gear. Prepper channels are great at trying to get you to buy gear, right? But when's the last time you used it? Having a mess kit in your preps, great. If it's still in the plastic, you don't have squat. Pinball out.